Hi everyone, I'm Mark Simon and welcome to the Perfect Your Pitch Bootcamp. Hope you're sitting down. If not, put this on pause, grab some popcorn, your favorite drink, make sure you go to the bathroom. We got an hour of great stuff ahead. So here's what we're going to cover. I'm going to go over a little bit about me, why I'm here. We're going to cover some costly mistakes that you need to avoid when you're pitching. I'm going to set up some proper expectations. And I'm going to go over probably what you want the most, the flow of a good pitch meeting. I'm going to give you a pitch template. You don't have to memorize it. You shouldn't memorize anything. But I'm going to go over some ways to make it easy for you, comfortable for you on how to start your pitch. I'm also going to cover some questions an executive may ask you, so make sure you're prepared. And I'm going to show you how to take control of a meeting so it goes the way you want it to go. Keeps you from being embarrassed at times. How to follow up. So once it's over, what do you do? That's where a lot of people screw up. And I'm going to go over with you our best-selling do-it-yourself TV pitch kit. I'll explain it all at the end here. All right, so to get started, I want to get an idea of who's here, who's watching, who's got an idea for an animation or a live action, reality series. What do we got? Raise your hands. I can't hear you. Oh, that's right. Because we had to cancel the live event because of the COVID. That's all right. You know who you are. Everything I'm going to talk about will work for any type of production. I'm going to show some samples of all different types of productions, so don't worry. Because this is what you want. You want to be in the inner sanctum. This is actually my wife, Jeannie. She and I worked at Nickelodeon for a number of years. But after we left, we kept going back and we kept pitching. Okay, but you worked there. Easy for you. But I can get in anywhere. I'm going to show you how to do it too. And this is one of the main ways I do it. I invest my time and my money into going to conferences. This is at, this is probably the NATB pitch event. There's a lot of different conferences that are for all different types of productions. Our pitch kit covers all the specifics on which ones you should go depending on what you've got. Now, all you have to do is, read the industry trades. You'll find out all about which ones are coming up, or a pitch kit will give you all the specifics. But see, all the players, all the buyers are here. You're considered a player by being there. That's why you want to be there. You don't need an agent. You don't need an attorney. I've pitched as many as 35 people, 35 studios in a single day. And these are 3- and 4-day conferences. Make a lot of connections. You can hear a lot of no's, but you only need that one yes, so you got to make sure you're there. And the executives are there to find new talent. So that's where you want to go. Okay, that all sounds great, but who the hell is this dude up here telling you what you need to do to pitch and sell your idea? Well, let's go over some of my background. I co-own Sell Your TV Concept Now, Animatics and Storyboards, or Storyboards and Animatics. We actually had to change our name when we moved to Atlanta. The largest storyboard house in the southern U.S. and A&S Animation. This time I've worked on over 5,000 productions. It's a lot. Well, I've been doing this for 34 years, and it's everything from major features to top TV shows to the lowest, scrunchiest, low-budget productions, and even a lot of things I was working in development on that never saw the light of day, but I still made money on them. So this is actually my first movie. This is from Slave Girls from Beyond Infinity. This is me, the wonder without sleeves. That's Mark Wolf. This is at Roger Corman's studio. So if any of you are familiar with low-budget movie making in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Roger Corman is the king of low-budget and B-budget movies. In fact, he launched the careers of half of Hollywood. Even Jim Cameron, about 2 or 3 years before I was there, he was there doing the same thing. He was art directing movies, and I was art directing this movie, where we did every kind of effect. It was my first movie that I was actually on, and I became an art director 2 weeks into it. And we were doing foreground miniatures, rear screen projection, front screen projection, beam splitters, stop motion animation, you name it. It was incredible. Great way to get my start in Hollywood, even though I made almost nothing. But it launched my career. And I kept going, getting job after job after job. It was great. And then in the early 90s, I was working at Nickelodeon for a while, and I left Nickelodeon to work with Steven Spielberg on Sequest. This was kind of like Star Trek underwater, and they had moved the production to Orlando. It was the biggest show on TV, highest budget on TV at the time. Steven Spielberg, science fiction, what's not to love? And this actually gave me my start as a second unit director as well on the episode Playtime. Now, as an art director and production designer, gave me a lot of leeway. So not only was I designing movies like this low-budget piece of crap with Leif Garrett, I also appeared in it. Look, it's fun. I enjoy working. I enjoy working in the industry. I enjoy doing things like getting in behind the scenes and being on some of these, and it was great. There I am. I played a lech in the background on this, always looking. In fact, she was Miss Universe. And then on Death Row Game Show, well, this was a treat. I played a corpse. Look at that acting. So I just have a lot of fun with all of this. Now, during all my years in production, I've also written about a dozen books. My latest book is this one, Start at the Top. Now, Start at the Top I actually wrote for my kids, but it works for anybody. It's inspirational stories on how to get you off your ass and how to leapfrog in your career. A lot of the stories are about getting started in Hollywood, how I got to certain places quickly, things that I did, how I got past barriers, including a lot of screw-ups. So, and each chapter is like, what did I learn from either the success or the failure? So you might want to check that out. And of course, since I'm known as the godfather of storyboarding, my book's on storyboarding. It's the Bible of the industry. It's in like 6 or 7 languages. So whatever you speak, you can read that book. And because I'm so into storyboarding, I absolutely adore every aspect of doing it because I love telling stories, and it's all about pitching. Storyboarding, I'm pitching ideas and pitching stories and how to get stories across to the directors and producers. So I then got involved with Toon Boom, who makes the Storyboard Pro software. I'm one of their ambassadors for it. I go around training studios, but I actually help develop the software as well. So I am in there deep on this. And then in 2012, we won a Primetime Engineering Emmy, because we changed the way production and pre-production happens. So over the years, I'll just highlight a couple projects, just kind of give you an idea of the types of things I've worked on, like the latest Chucky movie. It was sick. There's even things that we designed into that we ended up not being able to produce. That was even sicker. It was great. Doom Annihilation, which was really cool because my kids were watching that on Netflix, and I was in the studio, and I came back. And I walked in, and they said, "Dad, you got to check this movie out. It's great." I went, "Yeah, that's one of mine." What? All of a sudden, major cool factor. So, gotta love that. How High 2 is one of the movies that I was also an animation producer on. There's a few movies I'll show you in a sec that I produced. And I also did the storyboards on them. And then Woody Woodpecker, I was a story artist on the movie and the TV series. These are the other 2 movies for Universal and Fox that I was also animation producer, and I storyboarded them. In fact, for Little Rascals, we also designed the animated characters that are in the movie. It's a live-action movie with animated elements. Now this is cool. This is my first day on the job at The Walking Dead. Biggest show on TV. We even lost half of our ratings in one season, and we were still the highest rated drama on TV. So that's a great place to be. Those are the actual doors from the first episode, and that's what you see when you first walk in. So it's a dream working on this show. Here's a couple of my storyboards, comparing them to what the final piece looked like. In fact, this is from the very first episode that I worked on. I've been doing it for a few seasons now. I'm also storyboarding Black Lightning, and I'm a huge comic book geek. I had like 7,000 comics when I was growing up, and I collected Black Lightning. So this is, 30, 40, more than 40 years ago. And now I get to draw the character and then see him come to life on the screen. It's like my teenage and preteen self, my major dream. I mean, come on. Council of Dads, one of the greatest shows on TV now, and I'm storyboarding that. Stranger Things, I've been working on Stranger Things. We're actually, as I'm giving you this, we're on hiatus because of the COVID virus. So I can't wait to get back to it. One of my favorite shows, again, cool points with my kids when they found out I was working on this show. Can't show you any samples from it, but the next season's cool. And then over the years, I've won over 200 international awards for projects I've written and directed. And a lot of those I use, and I use that I've won awards on a lot of these projects when I'm going out and pitching, because that's a proof of concept. So entering festivals, whether it's a TV show, pitch, a short, or whatever it is, if your concept is based on what you've entered in festivals and you win an award, use that in your pitch. It's a great additional element, and executives are looking for new ideas and new content at festivals, so that can help you as well. I actually got a call from someone. I got written up when we won the Nicktoons Film Festival. I'm the first grand prize winner in the Nicktoons Film Fest with my series Timmy's Lessons in Nature, which then appeared on Nicktoons and on Comedy Central. We got written up. We got a great full-page article in Kidscreen Magazine. So one of the trades that you need to be reading, like Daily Variety, Hollywood Reporter, Real Screen, and an executive saw that article and called us, and we ended up making a deal with him. And these are the kind of meetings where you can land those deals. This is actually a speed pitch session at the Banff World Media Festival, one of my favorite conferences. You can pitch film or TV, live action or animation, reality, drama, comedy, doesn't matter. It's one of the few you can pitch anything. One of my favorite. It's in Canada. It's in June. It's gorgeous. Not this year. They canceled it this year because of the COVID. Everything's canceled this year, if you hadn't noticed. But it's great. And I was pitching to Bell Media here. And I have now landed over 36 deals for my own projects. So here I am talking to you about pitching because I know how to pitch. And I've taught a lot of other people how to pitch who have successfully sold their shows. So I'm going to share with you a lot of our secrets. So from having created and sold so many projects, a lot of people were asking, so how'd you do it? And it takes a lot of time to go through everything. So Jeannie, my wife, and I created Sell Your TV Concept Now. So we consult with people, and we have our DIY kit that I'm going to share with you at the end of this. So here's just some of the projects that we've created and that some of our clients have created. Charla Young, her show, she was in 2 or 3 markets. I produced a pitch conference. She won it. We worked with her to enhance her pitch and her and everything that she had, and she ended up going national after that. Shaboom was doing Party Magic, had an idea for a show. We worked with him. He ended up selling 2 shows that went international. A couple of these, that's our Timmy's Lesson in Nature. Now, Dangerous Waters, great story on Dangerous Waters. So this is the founder. I think his name is Dave. It's been a long time since I've worked with him. I met with him at NATPE. NATPE stands for the National Association of Television Programming Executives. And because he had been out of the country, he didn't have a chance to go through a lot of our earlier training. And so when I met him there, I was going over with him some shortcuts on what he needed to do to pitch a show. And the night before the event started, NATPE always has a big pool party. It happens down in Miami at the Fountain Blue. And we were outside with about 5,000 other people around their giant pool. And we're grabbing the food that's there. It's a great atmosphere. And he looks up at the sky and goes, "Man, I can't believe I'm actually here." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Well, 6 months ago I was floating upside down in the Bering Sea. Didn't know if I'd live until morning." I was like, "Whoa! What do you mean? What is that all about?" And so he told me the story about how what his show is about. He and a few other guys taking jet skis from Seattle up across the Bering Straits over to Russia. And they got hit by a rogue wave, flipped them over, and everything conked out. And so they're floating in the Bering Sea in freezing waters in the middle of the night. And so I was laughing about that. I said, "All right, here's what I want you to do. You're going to bump into somebody here. Doesn't matter who it is. I want you to do exactly what you just did with me. Just say, I can't believe I'm actually here. Because they're going to ask you why, just like I did. Just do it. And we went over, how he can approach his pitch. So not 5 minutes later, he gets jostled, which happens when you're around 5,000 people. He turns, he starts talking to the guy, and he goes, oh, yeah. And I'm listening because I'm right behind him. And he says, he looks up, I can't believe I'm actually here. And of course, the executive that bumped into him said, oh, why is that? And so he tells him the story. Ends up the guy was an executive from Fox, said, are you going to be here for the whole show? He goes, yeah. Exec said, he hands him his card. We're up in suite, whatever it was. They have one of the big suites in the Fontainebleau. Come by, I want to introduce you to our team. This is the type of show that we really want. He did. He landed his first pitch meeting right there because he had a hook. You want to look for that hook and be able to tell a great story. It's all about the hook in the story. Have a conversation. That's a great pitch. Ended up now, he went through 6 seasons of his show. That's a success. So as far as managing your expectations, you're generally not going to sell a show at your first pitch because it always has to be pitched up. It has to go through. So what's a successful pitch? Someone saying, that sounds cool, and then getting another meeting. That's success. Even if you get a no, if they say, what else have you got? That's successful because that means you did a great pitch and the door is always going to stay open for you to keep pitching. When they throw you on your ass, that wasn't a very good pitch. Give a Living Rose went a couple seasons. We worked with them directly. In fact, 2 weeks after we worked with the creators on the show, they went out and pitched it and sold the show and went into production a couple weeks later. Really unusual, but it happened. Wild Racers and Hell and High Water. One of our clients, he was one of the producers, Doug Stanley. He was one of the producers on Deadliest Catch. But he couldn't sell his own idea, even though he's producing the highest rated reality show on TV. So he came to us and said, look, I've been getting all this advice from my agent. Nothing's working. Can you help me out? And said, yeah, absolutely we can. We worked with him for a few weeks. He ended up selling 6 shows of his own, and these are 2 of them. He's a major success story. So there's no reason for you to look like this. It doesn't have to be difficult. It was for us when Jeannie and I first got started because we didn't know what we were doing. There was no information like I'm about to give you and what I've already been giving you. Even in my own introduction, I've been showing you how you can move ahead and be successful in your pitch. You don't have to look like that with the shortcuts I'm going to be giving you here. All right. Well, I guess the slideshow is smart enough to tell me now's a good time to share with you one of my personal stories. So, a friend of mine had he used to work in anti-terrorism. I can't tell you too many things because I can't reveal much about him. But I bought the rights to his story of when he had to go rescue his nephew who had been kidnapped in South America. Fascinating story. We bought the rights to it. I talked to my agent. I was out there pitching, and I talked to my agent, and I said, see if you can get me any other meetings. He said, well, I went to school with one of the execs at Fox for their TV movies. I'd love for you to pitch to him. I said, great. He said, now, I've never seen you pitch. Do you mind if I tag along? Should be simple and easy because this is a friend of mine. I said, yeah, sure. I would love for you to see me pitch. It'll probably help you want to put me out there more. So we set up. I go out there, and the guy has this gigantic office. I mean, it's one of those like you see in the movies with a sitting area, a big desk, and a bar. And I mean, it was really, really long. So we sit there, and we sit across a low coffee table from each other, chit-chat for a little bit. And he says, so what have you got? So I start telling him the story. And I always get emotional when I pitch it. First of all, because the guy is a friend of mine. And second of all, there's really an emotional aspect of this. He had to actually, my buddy had to leave anti-terrorism before he had to rescue his nephew. Because he had gotten married and he found God. And I'm not even a religious person, but his story about this and what it meant to him means something to me. And he, when he got the call in the middle of the night that his nephew had been kidnapped, all of a sudden he realized he has to now, because there's no way he's not going to respond, that he has to rescue his nephew. And he knows that he might have to go against his own God, that he might have to kill again, because it's family. He'll do anything he can to help family. And that part really touched me. So I let my emotions come out when I was pitching. I start crying, I'm tearing up, and then when we get to this one action part, I'm literally jumping on the guy's couch and jumping over his table. It was my Tom Cruise moment. I'm jumping up and down. By the time I'm done with the pitch, I am literally out of breath. And I sit down, I'm breathing heavy, a little sweat's going down my forehead. And the executive looks at me and he sits back, he goes, "Oh my God, that was the best pitch I've ever heard," because it was a great story. And of course I look back and my agent's all beaming. And it was great, and we got an offer on it. All right, so here's the dangerous part of this story is this. So this is how we put the package together, because I thought it's an undercover operation. I thought, well, let's make it look like a dossier, right? And you open it up and there's redactions throughout the whole thing and stamps on every page. I thought it was a really cool way to present this. And my agent was talking to the exec. The exec said, "This is great. I'm glad you brought him in," but I almost didn't take his pitch. The reason I almost didn't take it was because of this packaging. He said going this fancy made it look like he was trying to cover up a lack of content by going too far. I've never packaged something like this again. So, now it's just copy paper and a staple in the corner. That's all I do when I put my treatments together. In fact, this is a treatment. This is exactly my one sheet and then just copy paper. So, this is how I do it now. So you don't need to spend a lot of money on putting your treatment together. For the writing and the art and stuff like that in the one sheet, the cover. But as far as, you don't need to spend any money on printing. So, from all that, so what is a pitch? Well, sure as hell isn't this. A pitch is not just yelling out and spurting a bunch of facts at somebody. No one's going to remember facts. Facts are irrelevant. If you have a reality show, never, ever, ever pitch rules. Because think about it. If you're pitching, or if let's say you just watched one of your favorite reality shows, and you want to tell your best friend about it, are you going to tell him all the cool rules? Or are you going to tell him about the characters and what just happened, the story from the latest episode? See, everything has a story. So you need to pitch character and story. I see way too many people get into the rules, and no one gives a shit about rules. So it's not yelling. So what is it? Well, it's a conversation. It's talking to them. Again, going back to your best friend, if you're telling your best friend about a show you love, well, you better love your own idea, and you should talk to the executives like they're a buddy of yours. Now, this is Ben Silverman. This is the Banff World Media Festival again. I'm pitching to him. This is actually one of my clients who was a quarterfinalist on America's Got Talent, Drew Thomas. After I got finished talking to Ben, and he said, "Yeah, this idea sounds great," and send it in, I introduced him to Drew. And then Drew had a great connection with him, and Drew is amazing in a pitch because he's an entertainer himself. So that's what makes a great pitch. It's a conversation. It's passion, telling a story that you love. Now, I talked about telling a story. Do you memorize what you're going to tell your best friend about a show you love? I hope not. You tell from the heart. If you told it to 3 different people, it's probably going to be different every time. And your pitch should be different. Don't memorize. See, as soon as someone goes to memorize their pitch, they're going to blow it. Because they're going to forget a word, and then they feel they need to start over, they start getting nervous, they stumble. I don't care what words I'm saying. I've given this talk I don't know how many times. I haven't memorized it. I just know what I'm talking about. Know your idea well enough you can just talk about it passionately. All right, so we talked a little bit about a good pitch. So what's a bad pitch? Let's take a look at one, then we'll talk about it.
There's like a mixture of feelings right now. I'm mainly tired, but you know, there's some excitement in there, there's some nervousness. I know for a fact that nobody's pitch is as creative as mine. I just kind of went buck wild on this thing, so it should be a lot of fun.
Because the pitches are going to indicate for me who is a storyteller.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
What a nice outfit you have.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Tell us who you are, sir.
My name is Mark McLean.
And what log line did you luckily get?
I got the country mouse gets abducted by the pharmaceutical company and turned into a lab rat.
Well, give it a shot.
All right. Mickey Castellucci is your average New York mobster. But for the last 10 years or so, he's been working undercover as an informant for the FBI. So in the last 10 years, he's been Could I grab my notes? Is that...
Mark McLean.
It's okay. Take a minute.
Sorry, my mind is going blank right now.
Don't worry about it. Just give us the highlights of it.
Mickey is the mobster that works for the FBI.
Okay, one day, he wakes up and he turns into a 6'2", 300-pound rat. So, he turns into Rat Man.
And
With the size and strength of a human being, but the power of a rat. It's called Ratted Out. That's it.
My problem with it really was that it felt like in the pitch that you were making it up as you were going.
You have to believe in yourself so that we can believe in you too.
All right. So, you probably saw a lot of bad things. One, he tried to memorize it. You saw what happened, he went blank. You get nervous when you're in front of executives, right? Especially if you haven't done much of it. Now, I'm not nervous at all because I love doing this nonsense. But when you're first getting started, you're going to be nervous, and that's okay. But if you try to memorize, you're going to blow it like he did. He had no character, no story, nothing of interest. It was a bad pitch in every way. And look, he's all dressed uptight. He looks like a suit when he walks in. He doesn't look like a creative. I wear stuff like this when I go in. I look like I'm a fun guy. Now, I'm not saying you need to wear paint splatters. Wear something that's you, something that's creative. That's what you feel comfortable in. No raggedy shirts and holes in your pants. Look nice, but look creative. So now let's look and watch a great pitch. And look at this guy. And even the body language, first thing you see, like, hey, hey. So let's watch him.
hi.
My name is Andrew Hunt, and my logline is the priest who finds the girl of his dreams right before he's ordained. Okay, Charlie Potts has been raised through the Catholic Church in Boston, Massachusetts. This guy is going to be, the next big bishop. Hell, this guy might be the first American pope. We're going to send him down, actually, to South America, have him work at a missionary before we ordain him. But there's this one girl. Her name is Alex, and she's a pilot. She flies in and brings in cargo and supplies for this missionary. And what happens is Charlie and Alex start to develop this relationship. She's wild, she's crazy, she's everything that he's not. She's teaching him things like how to dance for the first time, how to take shots of tequila. And finally, it's getting to the point that he's fallen in love with this woman. All of a sudden, it starts raining. Raining for 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, 4 day, boom, a levee breaks. A flood comes in and just rips through this village. Alex and Charlie are trying to grab all the different people and get them to higher ground. And as they're doing it, they get separated. Next day, stops raining. Everything is calm. On the roof, he sees Alex. She's passed out or she's dead. He's looking up saying, I have never asked you for anything, but I'm asking you for one thing right now. And finally, she coughs up water. She's alive. We're now in Boston, Massachusetts, a huge church. And we see Charlie standing there about ready to get ordained. But then we pull back to see that it's actually a wedding. We're out.
Can you pitch my next film
Yeah,
to the
really,
studio?
you are so good
Thank
at
you,
that,
thank you.
man.
Let's give him the money. I'm with you. I got my wallet out. That's how good your pitch was. It made me take my wallet out.
Good work.
You
Thank you.
inspire confidence by being so confident.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So how fabulous was that guy, right? I mean, he took control of that stage. He wove an incredible story. He told an entire feature film in 1.5 minutes. And you want to see the movie. You saw their reaction, the judges. They're top people in the industry. It's amazing. And look at how he's dressed. He looks like a Hollywood writer. Very casual, right? And he's talking to them. He didn't memorize it. You know he would tell that story slightly differently every time he tells it. But he knew it. If you know a story, you can just tell it and you'll weave a wonderful tale, right? Everything about what he did was perfect. It's a great pitch. All right, so let's talk about some costly mistakes I want you to avoid. Don't produce a full episode of a TV show. No one's ever going to watch it. I mean, never. It'll never air. And no one's ever going to spend half hour or an hour watching a show. Put your time and your money into a great 3 to 5 minutes. Shorter the better. Representative of the show and who your lead characters are. Don't make a short about side characters or characters that only ever seen once. It needs to be about your lead characters. All right? So don't do a full episode. Now, that should more than pay for anything you want to buy from me, just on that savings. All right, so a color animation or animatic. Now, we do storyboards a lot for pitching. But a storyboard alone, I don't think is good enough. It's great for pre-production. But an animatic, which is putting storyboard slight motion like camera moves or layer moves on it, and we call it eye blinks and tail wags, just small movements, but full audio. You do that, and then you get an idea of the timing and the pace. Humor comes across great when there's actual video, right? But in animatic, whether it's for live action or animation, we do it for both. In fact, we do a ton of them, and we've sold and helped other people sell shows with their animatics. But it needs to be black and white, and here's why. A black and white animatic is pre-pro. It's pre-production. It's pre-viz. That's what we're used to. It's what the industry knows, that the finished production comes after that. Because the first time I was pitching an animation, I decided, well, let's make it really nice. I did a color animatic. It's color storyboards, a little bit of motion in it, full audio. I go out and I start pitching with it. I start getting responses like, well, the characters are really cute. Yeah, but the quality's not there. It's an animatic. We get it, but the quality, we can't air something in that low quality. And I kept saying, it's not the finished piece. It's an animatic. This is just color storyboards. But you can't upsell quality in a pitch. What they see is what they expect if it's in color. So don't make my mistake. And I've never done it again. I've talked to a lot of other people who have made the same mistakes. Keep them black and white and gray tone. Because color, instantly, they're going to think that you're trying to sell something of low quality. All right, and expecting buyers to do your job. So what I mean by that, and this is a bad mistake, you come up with a rough idea, you don't flesh it out, you don't know what the whole thing is, and you say, if you like the idea, you guys can just buy it from me and you just take it and run and make it work. Why would they do that? They don't need you for that. They've got their own rough ideas. They're looking for someone who's actually produced a concept to something that's ready to go into pre-production. Don't expect they're going to do your job. All right, so you have your idea. What do you need to put together to take with you on your pitch? Well, there's a number of different things that you could do, some of which we just talked about. Not everything needs an animatic or a storyboard. But there's two in particular items that we'll talk about that every type of show needs. One is a treatment. So treatment is not a Bible. There's some similarities. A treatment's a lot shorter than a Bible. So a Bible is used for production, right? It's all the specific details that all the writers and producers need to know in order to capture the creator's vision as they write future scripts. That's a production piece. A treatment, like this, a treatment is a marketing piece. Okay? So it's brief, it's visual, it's selling the show, and it's written in the tone of the show. That's one of the hardest things for people to do. I've read comedy treatments that sound like dramas because there's no humor in it. If you're pitching a comedy, everything you show them better be funny. Every image, every line of dialogue, every description better be funny. Funny writing equals funny show. The other thing is a one sheet. Now we use our one sheets as the cover of our treatments. And a one sheet, let's see if this is a one or two-sided one. Yeah, it's a two-sided one. Here's the back. So a one sheet is just an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper that is representative of your show. So when they get back to their office, they can look at it, oh yeah, I remember this guy in this pitch. All right, so the treatment, again, we use the one sheet. The treatment starts with what is the show, and they can be laid out slightly different ways, but then there's your lead characters, and you don't want too many. It's very easy for people to kind of get lost on details again. So your lead characters, imagery, photos, artwork, depending on if it's live action or animation, episode descriptions, season 1, season 2 breakdowns. In this case, we put in some of the storyboards. We also created an animatic for this, which I'll show you a part of it in a minute. Bios of the key people, and then anything else that's really specific, like if music is a big element, you want to describe that. All right, real brief, real visual. You don't want them feeling like they have to do a lot of heavy reading for it. So that's your treatment. Your one sheet is basically, it's a mini poster on the front, just a log line, the title, one image that represents it. Again, if it's a drama, it's a serious image. If it's sci-fi, sci-fi. If it's animation, a drawn piece. If it's live action, don't do a cartoony drawing on it because they're going to assume it's animation. If it's a comedy, better be a humorous image. Then the back, like you can see just a little bit over here, a couple of characters, brief descriptions, couple episodes, brief descriptions, an overview of the show, and again, your contact information. That's your one sheet. It's just a leave behind. Okay, now using your treatment effectively. So when I'm pitching, I don't just hand my treatment over to the execs. Because what happens when you hand something to somebody, right? They're going to look at it. Well, you failed. As soon as they look down in the middle of your pitch, they should be paying attention to you. Half of the pitch is the person pitching it. So you want them focusing on you. If I want them to see something, I point to it and then I put it down. I don't hand it to them until after I get done with the main part of my pitch. Keep the focus on you. People buy projects from not only a good project, but people they trust and they're entertained by. So you want to build that relationship. So what don't you want to do in a pitch? PowerPoint. Now, I'm using PowerPoint right now. But I'm not pitching you a show or a movie, right? PowerPoint is doomed to fail for any number of reasons. I mean, you're not going to be able to get onto the internet at a big conference because too many people are on it. Your computer or iPad could either crash, or your file won't pull up, or you could lose power, or you could be fiddling with something. But the biggest thing is it forces you to try to do the exact same thing in the same way. And as soon as they ask you a question, you're out of order. You don't want that. And again, they'd be looking at that instead of you. You need to be weaving your tale, right? Have them focus on you. Don't do a PowerPoint. It will fail every time. Even if someone else tells you to do it, they're wrong. I've done this a long, long time. I'm just telling you, it will fail, and it just works against you. All right, so let's go over the flow of a good pitch meeting. So this is casual. This is a couple of our clients here. Very at ease with an executive. This is an exec, I think, from WeTV. So the first thing you want to do is, we call it building a bridge. It's small talk. You don't want to just walk in, meet someone, and start blah, 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 and downloading on them, because their minds haven't had a chance to focus on you yet. They just got finished listening to another pitch, or getting off a phone call, or yelling at their kids, or whatever it was. Small talk has a purpose, and that's to allow their minds to shift from whatever else was going on to focusing on you. So at that point, they'll probably look at you and say, so, what did you bring me? Or, what's your show about? That's when you get into your pitch. Okay? Great opportunity. Now, when you start, here's some things you don't want to do. Don't talk about how much money or how much time you spent on your idea. No one cares. Great idea is a great idea, whether it costs 5 cents or $50,000. So don't talk about money. It's not going to help sell the show. Don't say you got the next Walking Dead or the next SpongeBob. No one has the next Walking Dead or the next SpongeBob. Be your own original. I hear a lot of people, I'm going to build a company that's going to be the next Pixar. Well, they're doomed to fail. Don't set up those kind of expectations. And for God's sake, don't say, you're going to love it because my wife and my kids and my mother-in-law love it. No. No one cares. Do a great pitch so they love it. So here's a couple ways that you can start yours. I'm here to tell you about my show called, I'll just say, Luke and Reese Save the World. It's a half-hour animated show perfect for kids 8 to 12, and it's about these identical twins who try to save mom from dangers only they can see using their household toys. That's how we would pitch it. Now, a secondary way to get into it is the bottom one. I created the show because. So that helps build a connection to your show. So Jeannie created Luke and Reese Save the World. This is my wife, Jeannie, and my two identical twin boys. Guess what? Luke and Reese. This is them. And so she would say, I created this show for my kids, but I didn't even know I was creating a show at first. When they were toddlers, they used to say, hey, Mom, tell me stories with your mouth, which meant make one up. Don't just read me a book. So she started telling these stories of these toddler ninjas that would sneak out of the house through the doggy door, roam the neighborhood, and catch the bad guys. And she'd come up with all these different stories, and the kids just loved it. And after a while, she said, I think there's actually a show here. And so I designed up the show. We wrote some scripts and created an animatic to go pitch it. But that showed an instant connection. See, when you're pitching a show, there's a lot to creating and producing a great show. So the stronger connection you have to it, the better chance that you have of selling it. It's going to be more personal. There's going to be more behind it, more ideas that you'll be able to bring to it. And if there's similar ideas, why you? Because you've got a stronger connection. So for instance, like I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo, and I was trained and tested by the highest-ranked white male in the world. So if you go to pitch a show about martial arts, and I pitch a show about martial arts, there's a really good chance that my connections and background in martial arts are stronger than yours. It's going to make my pitch stronger. So find your connection. All right, so you get started. You got your first line. You want to do your show overview. So that was that was the one-liner. I said with Luke and Reese, our twin toddlers who sneak out and protect their mom, protect their neighborhood with all their toys. That's the broad view. Then you can get into some details and your characters, because characters are hugely important. So Luke and Reese are our two stars. Even though they're identical twins, there's a lot of differences in their personality. For instance, Luke is one that he charms everybody with a smile, kind of does his own thing, goes his own way all the time, makes excuses for everything. Whereas Reese is the ultimate rule follower. If he's in the middle of jumping through the air and Mom says, "Don't move a muscle," he will freeze in midair and won't move because he can't break a rule. And that helps put them in more jeopardy at times. So you get into these specific characters. Again, don't talk about too many characters. Try to keep it down to no more than 3 or 4 characters in your pitch, because no one can track more than that. I don't care how many characters you have. Just pitch the lead ones, especially the ones that are in your main story. Just like that first pitch, there's only 3 people that were in it. Really only 2 for the most part, you know. And you know there's other characters in the story, but he kept to the main core of the story, and it was easy to follow. So remember that. So characters are key no matter what type of show you got. Animation, live action, even reality, and even game shows. Because game shows are sold with the host. Yeah, you might go out and have, if you can't hire one, figure out who you would want and pitch with the idea, someone like this. But if you can actually get someone attached to it, even better. That makes a much stronger pitch. So your characters, great characters end up with great relationships. Because relationships build stories. So know who they are with each other. Who loves who hates who, why is someone trying to get in someone else's way. Love triangles are huge. And then this line here, execs want big bad or big loud characters. Now I'm not talking about overweight people who yell. That's not what big loud characters. I'm talking someone with that X factor, something that even if you were just interviewing them on a phone, something about their personality pops out at you. Someone whose personality leaps off the screen. That's who you want. So in a reality show, you can't sell a reality show without the actual people who are going to be in that show attached to it. You just can't do it. So find people who are great characters who, anytime they just open their mouths, you want to listen to them. Now, when you get into your episodes, any type of TV show, you've got to break down some ideas. So what kind of stories are we going to hear? Give me an idea. So be able to do a brief pitch or 1 or 2 concepts. And generally what we tell people is, let's say you're doing 13 episodes or you want to do 13 in a season, which is a nice short season for animation. Or even 10 now if we're looking at like Rick and Morty. Create 3 times that many and then pick the top third. Because the first ones that you do were the most obvious. The second ones you're going to struggle a bit, but you're going to get some real heroes. The third ones you're going to curse my name. Why did he tell me to create so many? I can't do this. This is rough. Mark is evil. Except you're going to come up with some of the best ones because they're not as obvious and the most fun. So push yourself. This is not an easy industry, and you're going against the best in the world. Isn't it worth spending a little more time? It is. Now, I was talking about an animatic, or you can shoot a sizzle reel. With live action actors, you can, however you can get across things, or if it's a reality show, follow the people around doing whatever it is. If they've got a company building really fancy fences, follow them around, interview some of their customers, see how they interact with each other and with their clients. This is an example of an animatic for the Luke and Reese. Whenever we present this, it's got full voices, full sound effects and music, so it really sings. But by showing them this, they get an idea of the pacing and the style of humor that just talking about it would never get across, right? And look how rough that is. It's quicker and cheaper and better for a pitch than trying to do finished animation. The problem with finished animation, if it's not as good or better than what's on TV, you're going to pale by comparison. So why spend all that extra money and extra time when animatic, they know it can be changed. If it's not absolutely perfect in the story, you're not at the point of no return. It's by far the best way to handle it. Call me, we'll talk. All right, so when you get done with the first part of your pitch, the main part, just getting across what it is, they're likely to have some questions. So what are some questions they could ask you? Obviously, there could be some specific about your show, but let's talk about more general ones. How did you come up with this idea? Well, we talked about the benefits of connecting yourself to your idea. Know why you're the one to do that show. What's the budget? Now, this is a trick question. No one expects you to do a line-by-line budget. It's irrelevant. The networks are going to tell you what the budget is. You don't know what network is going to buy it, because all networks have different budget lines. You don't know if it's going to be guild or not. There's A, B, and C levels of shows, and the network's going to dictate to you which one it is. They're going to potentially ask you what the budget is to see if you know anything about what you're talking about. Let's say you've got an animated series and you say, well, I could do it for $35,000 an episode. Well, they're not going to do a deal with you because you don't know what you're talking about. But if you said, well, like any show, if we had to do it really low budget, it'd be about $300 to $350 an episode. But, I'd be much more comfortable if we had at least $650 an episode, so it could look like this, or this type of show. Okay, you don't need a line-by-line or anything. You just kind of need to know the range of what possible shows could cost to produce, and then they're going to move on and forget they even asked you. Where will your show fit on our channel? One of the biggest things that execs dislike about taking pitches is people who have not done their research on who they're pitching to. A friend of mine, Scott Fishman, who was an executive at Nickelodeon, would complain to me one time that someone had gone up to him and was pitching a show about the parents. He goes, Nickelodeon is all about kid empowerment. We don't do shows about parents. It's got to be about the kids. And the pitcher went, yeah. I know that. There's kids in it. But let me tell you about the dad. And he just didn't pay attention, didn't listen. You're not going to pitch soft porn to Disney, right? Know your audience. Spend some time and do some research. And it's easy to do that now. And where will it fit on our channel? Is it a morning show? Will it fit, will it shoulder well with, which means, go next to, like Seinfeld, well, if Seinfeld was still on, but, maybe it's late night Adult Swim, go well with Rick and Morty. Or maybe it would be a great show to go after NCIS, right? Know where it would fit in their lineup. Just be prepared. Who else has seen it? This generally means that they like your idea, right? Because they want to know who they might be bidding against. You don't need to tell them everything. Just say, well, I've gotten some interest from NBC or, whoever. Don't lie, because they have friends. They'll find out. But if you've gotten some interest, tell them. But don't start going down the litany of everyone who's seen it, especially if you're talking to a studio, not a network, because the studio wants to know that they still have places that they can take it that you haven't been. So don't say much. Just talk about other production companies if you're talking to a production company. And don't go into your list of networks. They could ask if you have an agent. This is also a really good sign, because that means that they're thinking about what it's going to take to negotiate. If you don't have one, just say, I don't have one yet, but I'll get one. See, once you get an offer, it's a lot easier to get an agent. If you're green, you're not going to get an agent if you don't have any interest. Agents make money from closing a deal. If you don't have connections to an agent, hire an entertainment attorney, but a seasoned one. Call someone in LA or New York. Use a seasoned attorney. Orlando has some entertainment attorneys, Atlanta, some of the big production centers. But find someone who's been doing it, not just someone who thought about it a couple years ago and says that they do it. Research them. Do you have tape? That means they want to see more and they want to share it with someone else. Tape means sizzle reel or animatic, anything, any type of video. It's just an old term. What can I take with me? Well, that's the treatment and or the one sheet, maybe a DVD. You can always offer, let me send you something digitally so you can share it with your team. Oh, they're going to love you for that. That's great. What else do you have? They're very interested. You could say maybe you've got a sample script. If you've got a half-hour comedy or an hour drama, you have to have a full script. You can't pitch it without, you can't sell without one. So, know what it is that you've got, but make sure that you're also prepared. Can you fly to LA next week? There's only one answer to that. It's like, hell yeah, I can. Be prepared. If you get that there, and I've had clients hear that and they figured out a way. I don't care if your job says you can't go, you figure out how to get there. Now, at any time you see this face, when you're pitching, stop. Mid-sentence, stop. Just stop pitching because there's a problem. They're either bored or they don't like it or it's not right for them. They have something just like it. Whatever it is, just stop and say, so what do you think? That's the magical question. When you get done with your pitch, what do you think? If you see that other face, that bored look, stop. What do you think? You've got to find out. If you don't know what's going on, you don't know how to react. They might love it halfway through your pitch. So what do you think? It's a great question. Now, they might say, not for us. You're going to hear a lot of no's. Don't take it personally. Everyone hears no. Even Spielberg can't sell everything. But you only need that one yes. That's why you got to keep going out there and keep pitching, and keep pitching, and keep pitching. That one yes can make you millions. So I ask when I hear no, and of course I've heard a lot of no's, so what are you looking for? Because I always have multiple ideas. I'm sure you've got multiple ideas. And they might be looking for something else that you've got. Never pitch more than 2 things in one pitch meeting. But I've pitched 2, and I've sold the second one sometimes. So be willing to ask. Build that relationship. Don't just walk out. Hey, I love this show of yours. How did you guys do this? Whatever it is. Build that relationship, because when you have another idea that you think is right for them later, if you've got that relationship built, the door is open for you. So you're always looking ahead. Now, for God's sake, if you ever hear a yes, we love it, we want it, what can you send me? When can we meet? Stop pitching. Just stop talking. Because the only thing that you can hear after yes is a no. Don't turn a yes into a no. Stop pitching. Great. What's our next step? And move on from there. They've heard enough. So just be quiet. So regardless of the end of it, ask for the contact information. They may not give it to you if it's just a flat no. If it's a good pitch, they will anyway. So get their contact info. And then ask them how they would like you to follow up. If they want to read through it, or if they want to see more stuff. If it's a no, there is no follow-up. But, if they say, I'd like to share it with my team, great. Would you like me to call you? When? Or would you prefer an email? Sometimes I'll say, well, give me a couple weeks. I got a lot to do. Mark it down and make sure you follow up. Now, you can always do a much quicker follow-up as well, just even that night or that afternoon. Hey, great meeting you. Thanks. I'll be following up later on. Always great to be polite. Keep that thing open, but keep everything brief. So, what's the best way besides everything I just gave you? Because there is a lot more to pitching, but that'll help you a lot to get ready to pitch your project. And that's with our DIY TV pitch kit, which works for movies too, but we really have specified it to TV. There's a ton of things in here. There's like over 80 hours of content. It's at tvpitchkit.com. You can go on right now. And it's streaming. Whenever we update it, you get the updates for free because it's a one-time fee. It's a low fee. You can do it on your laptop. You can see all the info on your phone or your tablet. It's digital streaming. See, we used to have it printed in DVDs, which you couldn't take with you. It was heavy. It used to cost over $500, plus a big shipping cost. Now, with streaming, we can update it instantly. You always get the updates. We never charge for new updates on it. So we've got a mix of audio, video, and downloads on it. So with the videos, you just click on them. It pops up on your screen. We tend to keep them short, so you can just go to right to the part that you want to learn at that point. Watch. It's kind of like LinkedIn Learning, which I'm also an author of. So we've got a lot of the kind of same thing. We set up, through development, the materials you need, how to pitch, conferences to go to, expert interviews and advice, separate resources of where to find the things that you need to do, terms so you know that you use the words the right way, frequently asked questions, and then what do you do next. It's got treatment samples of all different types of productions, full treatments, so you could see how we did it. But then not only did we give that to you, but we also have videos taking you through them page by page, so we explain why we did what we did. There's fill-in-the-blank treatment templates. So whatever kind of show you have, you just open up the Word document and it tells you, put this info here, put this picture here, right? We make it easy for you. In development, like how we've got these sheets on how to help you create a more compelling character, how to look at your locations. Anything that you need to develop, we help you on how to look at it and how to make it stronger. Now, like I said, we used to sell this for $500. It's only $200 now. And it's a lifetime fee. It's a lifetime membership. No monthly fees. I'm tired of those. I'm sure you are too. It's only $200. I mean, what's it worth for you to sell a show? You know how much money you can make even if it's not a hit? $200. It'll save you 5 years of screwing up, because that's about how long it took me before I realized, oh, I should do this instead of that. Don't make my mistakes. My mistakes cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Do it right the first time. Yeah, I mean, it's everything about how to pitch your show, what conferences to go to, what to wear, how to pitch, which ones are best for your type of show, specifics on follow-up, how to chart and organize who you've met with. We cover all of it. Now, this is Peter Gow, who at the time was chief exec at DreamWorks TV, and he said this is by far the best time in the history of TV to be an independent producer trying to sell your show. And I completely agree, because there's never been so many opportunities. I mean, Netflix alone spends more money than the networks combined, much less all the other streaming platforms. I mean, look, we've got over 20 streaming platforms, and there's more all the time. I mean, even just recently we've had Apple TV and Quibi just started up too. And they put some of the most money into it. I mean, look, we've got over 1,700 networks and cable stations just in the United States. It's over 2,000 in Europe. This is a lot of places looking for content. Why not your content? As long as you know what you're doing and you know how to get in front of the right people, right? Because you're going to go to conferences like I told you. Yeah, I thought you were. Okay. You can get in front of the right people and you've got a good chance of selling your idea. So, it's a one-time fee. As soon as you pay it, you get instant access. There's no waiting for deliveries, and there's no shipping costs. $200, and you're on your way. Oh, this is a great quote we got from one of our clients. Thanks for your TV pitch school. We used to call it TV pitch school before we made it digital. It was instrumental in us landing a contract for our sketch comedy series, Bent Pennies. Stephen from Bent Penny Productions. Isn't that what you want? I mean, we really put here's how we put the pitch kit together. Everything we wish we had when we got started, we're given to you. I can't think of a better reason for putting something together. So tvpitchkit.com. It's there for you now. Don't wait, because we could end up saving you a ton of money and a hell of a lot more than the cost of this. Because you want to see your show on TV, right? I want to see your show on TV. Thanks. So there's questions, right? I know I'm right at an hour. What do you say we answer a couple questions real quick? Okay. Yes, you. Should I bring an NDA to a pitch? No. Never. It's instantly going to be a no because you're going to look like an amateur. No pros ever ask for an NDA when they're pitching. You're going to sign a submission release form, or they're not going to accept your pitch or take it any further. But do not, just don't. No, you cannot bring an NDA. I know you might want to argue with me. You're worried someone's going to steal your idea. If your idea is that good and that original, they can't steal it from you. Don't worry about it. If you want to look and act like a pro, I'm telling you, you're going to sign a submission release and pitch. In fact, the more people you pitch, the safer your idea is, because they can't steal something that everyone knows is yours, right? One last one. Yes, you over here. How do I get in front of an executive? By going where executives are, right? Go to a conference. chances of you getting through the gate, if you don't have experience in the industry, to get into someone's office is low. Once you start making connections, you build those relationships, then you can. So how do you do that? By investing your time and your money into going to a conference. It's worth it. The cost per pitch at a conference is a fraction of what it is to actually fly somewhere to possibly get 1 or 2 pitch meetings. Like I said, I got to the point where I was doing 35 pitch meetings in a day. Well, that brings my cost per pitch for travel and hotel way down. We cover all that in the pitch kit too. So, everything I just gave you times 10, times 80, because we did an hour, there's about 80 hours of content, plus you got all the downloads, tvpitchkit.com. It'll do nothing but help you. I'm Mark Simon. I'm glad you spent an hour with me. I hope this helped you a lot. Good luck with your pitch. I want to see your show on TV.